good morning. It's 7:03 on this Monday, October 12th. It's time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I am back and been gone for 2 weeks. It's like starting all over again here. Let me quickly thank the people who stood in for me. I heard a part of a program every day except the first Monday I was gone. Didn't hear Barry Tatum that day, but and his guests. But appreciate Barry. I should say Judge Tatum, I guess. David Hale, Dr. Paul Stumm, Judge Inslee Hagan, Mark Heinze, Larry Tomlinson, Jeff Dixon, and Sarah Haston, all guest hosting while I was gone. And we're here now to talk about Absolute Kubota this morning. And we've got Matt Bryson here. Good morning, Matt.
Good morning, Coleman.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
I hope things are going well.
Well, they are. We're actively pursuing our new location,
and 1506 West Main.
That is correct. We've officially decided that we will be operational there with the Kubota franchise on Monday, the 2nd of November, and so we've gotten our signage up already on West Main. We've gotten a few other things done, and we still lack a few things on the outside and a little bit of work on the inside. But we're going to be hitting our target date.
Well, that's good to know. And you shoot for something like that, and in the beginning you wonder, well, did we bite off more than we can chew or whatever? But it seems like you're on target.
Well, that's always the case. You know, we've I do have some experience in opening these stores up. You know, we don't talk about this on here very often because it's not relevant, but you know, we do have locations. We actually just moved our store from Hendersonville to Gallatin this past summer, and you know, we have a location in Murfreesboro, and then we also have one in the Lewisburg community as well. So we've experienced this before. And have gotten a little better at it each year. So we're just looking forward to being there. Now, I do want to clarify one thing. You know, we will continue to operate the Exmark franchise out of the current location at 1325 West Main Street. It will not move with us. When we move down the street to 1506 West Main, that will be a Kubota-only dealeership.
Okay. All right. So Exmark stays at 1325 West Main.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to tell you, you amaze me. Now, you're a lot younger than I am and a lot more energy and all of this, but you've been going hard since you were young, maybe even before your teen years. I don't know. But Matt, you've got a lot on the ball. You really have.
Well, I appreciate that, and I just, you know, I've mentioned this on here before. You know, I enjoy working, and I enjoy having something to do every day. And you know, I look at both my parents too. I mean, my mom and dad have now you know, managed to make it past the 70 mark, and both of them are still very active and working still, and so. You know, it's just something that was kind of instilled in me at a young age.
But Kubota's been good for you. You've been good for Kubota, no doubt.
You know, in this community, Kubota has been sold in Wilson County, I think, since sometime in the early 70s, from what we've been told. And when this franchise opportunity came up back in 2014, there was conversations within Kubota about maybe not opening a franchise back up in Wilson County, but actually some of the higher ups in the corporation who had been there for some length of time said, no, you know, Wilson County's been a good market for us, and it was actually one of the first markets we started in when we came into the United States. So Kubota's not been in the United States really that long, but they have been here since the early 70s, and Wilson County was one of the first markets.
Well, that's over 40 years.
Yeah.
Getting close to 50.
Sure, I just because I'm from I was born in '79, so it doesn't seem like that long ago, right? But at the end of the day, you know, I think it's a testament for the community and how strong this brand does here.
Well, while you're in transition, and there's some transition already taking place, no doubt, but I mean, you still got your doors open. You still got sales and service available, I take it.
Absolutely, Coleman. We don't plan to be down at all. We might have to close a department down. For example, we might close our service department down on that Friday before so they can begin moving a lot of their equipment in. We might have some real limited scheduling on that Saturday before. But as far as us being just completely down for a day or two, I don't see that being the case. Our goal is to close one down and open one up and be back operational on Monday the 2nd.
Bet your people are excited about this.
It is it's bittersweet. 1325 West Main Street has been a good location for us, and there are some advantages of moving to this new location. A little bit bigger service department. That's one thing that we're kind of looking forward to, and a little more road frontage. So that's another thing we're looking forward to. And these older automotive dealerships tend to work well for ag dealerships. It's kind of a natural transition. We see a lot of other dealerships that are Kubota franchise that are in older automotive locations.
Well, as we kind of count down to the day, and you did say first of the month?
That is correct.
Yeah.
November 2nd.
So we've got, let me look at the calendar here. You got 3 more weeks.
Yeah, we're right there at it.
Yeah.
So we're going to be actively starting to ramp up our advertising as well to communicate with our customers. But one thing I want to mention before we get off here is right now we've been doing this since 2014. And I know we come on here a lot of times from a sales perspective, mm-hmm. and that's kind of the way this goes. But this is this is kind of an unprecedented time that we're seeing right now from a sales opportunity. If you've ever been in the tractor market, the zero turn market, or the side by side market, there has not been a better time since 2014 to buy. We typically have seen 0% for 60-month interest, 0% for 60-month programs run mm-hmm. the duration of the time we've been in this. They are continuing to push the 0 for 84 with a 90-day no payment. So these are some things that we are seeing. We've not seen just tremendous cost increases in the product since 2014. So the price has not changed that much. And right now, we are seeing some product being sold for what we were selling it for back in the 2014-2015 timeframe. So it is a great opportunity to buy if you are in the market.
And 84 months is what, 7 years?
Yeah. I mean, and then you can go another 90 days at no payment. So
see Absolute Kubota today.
That is right. I mean, we will still, our inventory levels are tight, but that's kind of been the trend recently, and it's not just us, it's all over the United States. But we can find the inventory if you're looking.
All right. Well, Matt, thanks so much for being with us. Matt Bryson, see you next Monday.
Thank you, Coleman. Look
right.
forward to it.
We're about 11 minutes after the hour, and Lucas Holman is here today. Lucas, good morning to you.
Good morning, Coleman. How are you doing?
I'm doing well and feeling good this morning and glad to be back. I want to say a couple of things. Number one, you're here on a Monday. Normally, you would be here on the first Wednesday.
Right.
We kind of worked things out. Jim Amareau had the Watertown mile-long yard sale that he needed to be on for, and the only way we could work him in was to put him in your slot. And Miss Ruth said, "That's okay." Well, why would she care? She
yeah, that's right. She's gone.
but she said you wouldn't mind a bit. The other thing I wanted to say, it was 27 years ago on this Monday on the calendar that I started doing this program. The radio station went on the air on October 1st. Susie did a program on Friday the 2nd about that. But I was, like I have been this time, I was on vacation for a couple of weeks. And so my program didn't start till that second Monday. And it wasn't the same. It wasn't the 12th of October. I think it was the 10th. But whatever it was, calendar slightly different. But really, today, I am starting the 28th year.
Well, happy birthday,
Coleman and Company. So, and it's what a ride it's been. I mean, I was very apprehensive in the beginning. Didn't know really if I wanted to do it, and then I mean, what a blessing
Yep.
it's been, and I hope it's been a blessing for our listeners, because I think it's something of community involvement, and I think you do get some information here. I won't say it's not available anywhere else, but live radio is something else to start with. Of course, once you said it, it's out there. And so get it right the first time if you can, and all that. But anyway, we're glad to have you today, and tell us what's going on in your world.
Well, I'm the horticulture extension agent for Wilson County, and this year was probably, with the pandemic gardening year also. We had more people gardening than I have ever seen in my life. And we had seed, sold out at the stores. Seed websites actually shut down. It was hard to find stuff this year. Certain varieties of things that I normally grow every year were sold out online because everybody went into gardening this year. So this was the kind of the year, and I kind of hope this trend sticks, because we had a lot of people make small raised beds and encourage their kids to garden. And I think this was the year to push people to garden.
Did you have a lot more inquiries?
Oh,
you've been busy.
Man, it was unreal. And some of the questions, they were so diverse from, I grew up gardening, so I think sometimes the questions like, well, when do I pick this? I mean, people don't know some of the things. Or when do I need to plant this? And that's things I take for granted that I just grew up doing. Like, I always knew when we planted tomatoes or corn. This year, people didn't know those kind of things. So we kind of started off with some of the basics, and we still had the more challenging questions also coming down the pipeline.
Well, now, I know we've had the Master Gardener program started years ago, and it's been a good thing. It continues to be. I don't know what we're doing. You may have had a little hiccup here, but, I mean, Master Gardeners, people know. But everybody may not want to get that involved, and especially on the start, if they haven't had any gardening experience. You ever thought about having some elementary, Master Gardeners like high school or college, some elementary gardening schools?
No, we did some Facebook Live classes, and we tried to do some things online, because this year we were really limited on our classes. The university has set policies on us having in-person classes, and we have to kind of abide by those. And during March, April, May, June, we really just didn't do anything like that. So we had Zoom classes, or we had live Facebook classes that we were participating in each month. So one week I would do a class on warm season vegetables, or this week we would talk about onions, and those really went off well. And I was looking at one the other day, a landscaping one I did back in March or April, and it had 2,000 views on Facebook, and I was really shocked by something like that. People must be really bored and want to listen to this little redneck.
Of all that people can grow, is there one particular thing that they might grow the most?
Oh, tomatoes.
That's what I thought.
But they're also one of the most challenging things to grow. And this year, I think people who have never gardened before took for granted how easy it was, to go buy tomatoes sometimes. But when you invest potting soil, a raised bed, the fertilizer, if you really do the math, sometimes it's not working out right.
I hear that. Lucas, it's time for us to take a break. Lucas Holman with the UT Extension office is here. We'll talk more about what he does in a moment here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And to 7:16, let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks to Bates Ford and the regular oil change, only $24.95, up to 5 quarts of oil, tax and disposal, $16.73. West Main, now at traffic. Here's Chuck.
It's on the increase out here as expected this time of the morning on 24 coming past OHB. You got all that traffic flow coming out of Jolton right now. 1100 block of OHB and Oak Hill. That wreck is in its clearing stages. Still not too bad through Mount Juliet right now. It has picked up, however, on 40 West as you leave Wilson County into Davidson County. Hey, celebrate autumn at Oberg-Gatlinburg during Oktoberfest now through November 1st. Oberg-Gatlinburg.com for all the details. I'm Commander Chuck. You're on time traffic.
Gregory Dental in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from University Medical Center. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medore Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Bad, good. WANT is proud to announce the return of the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show. Every Friday night, we will bring you local scores and interviews with Wilson County coaches directly after the LHS football game. The 2020 Scoreboard Show is brought to you by Fakes and Hooker, Burdine Supply, Designers Carpet, Kitty Salas and the hometown team of Keller Williams, Lebanon Appliance, Minchie's Landscape, Palometto's Insurance, and Sammy B's Restaurant. That's every Friday night after the LHS football broadcast, right here on WANT 98.9, Wilson County's own radio.
Have you heard the latest news about Exmark lawnmowers? The brand picked 2-to-1 over any other brand? Exmark is now honoring all police, fire, EMT, and military with the Exmark Honors Program. Receive up to $1,500 off on select models if you're a current or former police, fire, EMT, or military personnel. No better time than to step up to an Exmark. Come see the team at Absolute Kubota at 1325 West Main Street in Lebanon.
Coleman and Company here on a Monday morning. We have Lucas Holman from the Extension Office. We talked during the break here a little bit. You once were an ag teacher in high school.
Yep.
And retired from that.
Yep.
You really like you're well educated in what you do. I mean, you've grown up gardening, and you're able to answer a lot of questions, no doubt. But I mean, it's kind of like almost like it's in your blood or something.
Well, I grew up in the greenhouse industry, so a lot of this stuff kind of comes second nature because my mom worked for her sister at a large greenhouse where I grew up in Rockwood, Tennessee. And I remember always being at the greenhouse when I was 5 or 6 years old doing something, so it kind of stuck. Yeah. And I enjoy talking to people. I don't know if you realize that, Coleman. Boy, do I love to talk.
Well, and we love to hear you talk. What we've said, tomatoes are maybe the number one thing that people think about growing, but a lot of people are not satisfied with just one thing. What's some of the other more common ones?
And when we look at some of the more basic things that I think that are the easiest to grow, I think people need to grow more squash. Boy, it's pretty tough until the squash bugs find it. But I could eat squash pretty much every night. And in the fall time, greens really do well because they can handle light frost. And after we have some frost, all the bugs are gone and the greens taste better.
Well, people, squash, you mentioned squash, but cucumbers and okra and, of course, a lot of people grow
peppers, potatoes, onions are really simple, but I think a lot of people don't realize most onions need to be planted about the last week of February in Tennessee when the ground's still kind of hard as a rock. Yeah, it's ideally the best time. We plant onions sometimes too late for them to bulb up right.
What's some of the more common questions you get asked? Because especially with the new people who may be gardening kind of for the first time or first time in a long time.
I think like I said earlier, when to plant certain things. Now this year we had 2 late frosts in May. And we generally tell people April the 15th, you're good. Go ahead and plant everything. Well, the first 2 weeks of May, we saw 2 light frosts. And even I was scrambling at my house for buckets and things to cover up things. 2020 has not been a good year to anybody. And we had some issues with some of the fruit nurseries around that had some late freezes that knocked out a lot of their fruit and had some fruit deformities on it whenever it actually was formed after the frost. But I think a lot of it, they just don't know when to plant certain things. So, like, some things can still be planted roughly right now if you wanted to. If you were able to grow them under little tunnels, greens and things do fine in the wintertime.
I just started to plant turnip greens.
It is. Ideally, they need to get a good root before we get a first frost. Now, if you're a gambler, you can still go ahead and plant some right now. They may still do fine. It's just kind of a gamble on when we get our first frost, and that could be any time from October the 20th through November the 10th or November the 15th. I just planted some the first week of October, and I've been babying them, hoping that they make it before we get a first frost, because when they're too tender and small, the freeze will kill them, or frost will.
But turnip greens are really
good. I've got 2 bags in my fridge from a relative. I could eat them every week.
Well, I planted some probably around the 1st of September. I can't remember.
That's when you need to plant greens outside directly. No, I grow some lettuce and spinach under little tunnels. I bought some frost cloth in the wintertime, so my goal this year is to try to keep spinach all winter, and we'll see if that happens or not.
Well, now, do you have some of the problems that people talk to you about? You personally and what you grow?
I've never killed a plant in my life, so I'm not sure what's... Oh yes, I grow about 60 tomatoes every year, and I have the same issues that everybody else has. Blossom end rot. I'll get the verticillium wilts. I'll get aphids, and I'm just trying to. I think it's good for me to battle some of those things, so I can tell people, well, last week I had this. Well, this is what I did about it.
I had some that started splitting.
Yep, that's too much moisture.
Really?
And you can't control the rain. Ideally, if we're fixing to get a big rain and you have a lot of tomatoes that are fixing to start turning, go ahead and pull all those off.
Oh,
there you go.
They will ripen okay off the vine.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
not split.
right.
Yeah.
Because usually, we know when we're full, we stop eating. Tomatoes really don't know when to shut off the water flow, and they'll take up water until they split.
I didn't know that. I never heard. I wondered about it. What about blossom end rot?
Now it's complicated. Now blossom end rot is fluctuations in soil moisture. So most Tennessee people will say it's a calcium deficiency. It is, but it's the plant's inability to take up the calcium. So if we go through a long period, most soils in Tennessee, let me say this, have enough calcium. You should not have to really be applying anything to the soil. It's just the plant not being able to take it up. If we go through a long period of rain and then we go a week without water, the plant's not going to take up that calcium that it needs at that time. So ideally, it's just the plant's inability to take up the calcium.
Yeah, okay. And I've heard of, I believe it's Epsom salts.
Yeah, that's magnesium sulfate. So Epsom salts usually don't cure blossom end rot.
Okay,
it's not calcium.
Well, that wasn't really. I was just going to say, and I've even done this a time or two. It seemed to enhance the growth of the.
Oh, it does. It'll make them darker green, and people have been using Epsom salts for years and years. So that it's basically like a fertilizer additive to the ground. It's magnesium.
I should have done it this year, but I didn't.
Did you have a terrible year?
I know, but not a good. My tomatoes were very small.
Okay.
For some reason.
Now, you move your garden around, right?
A little.
Oh.
Now, I don't know what I should tell this, but I don't think I'm lazy, but rather than till up the whole area of the backyard, I just do a row.
Right.
Okay. Well, I put the row this year beside where it was before, so that's not exactly new, but it's not exactly in the same place either.
You're right in the gray area right there. We'll say.
And anyway, but I tried a new variety of tomato. They're not new. I mean, Rutgers is up there. But,
that was developed by Rutgers University.
Really?
So,
but they just didn't get as large as usual, and that was my disappointment. I had plenty of them.
We're over on the rainfall this year, and I think the rains really played a factor in a lot of things actually not developing right. I would say.
What you'd think, the more rain, the better you are, but you're saying no.
No, a lot of these plants need to go in some dry times too, and I see more plants dying from overwater than underwater. So people have in the back of their heads, well, I got to water this, I got to water this, I got to water this. Sometimes you don't even need. I don't water my vegetable garden at all. I just kind of plant it. I may water it a little bit at the beginning, but I ride it out. For the most part, a lot of these tomato diseases come from too much water.
What's been maybe some of the better plants that you've heard about this year? The production being really good. Any of them
on the varieties of tomatoes?
No, other things other than tomatoes.
Oh, I had kind of a bumpy year on some things this year. A lot of my purple hull peas, like I planted some old purple hull peas from my grandfather, and I mostly grew them to collect the seeds on this year. My tomatoes did all right, and I planted some cantaloupes. I had a few watermelons out. I had a diverse garden this year because all my meetings were canceled, so I gardened more this year.
But squash do okay. I guess a good year for squash. It wasn't. My squash did real well.
Mine did too until the squash bugs find it. And I usually try to plant squash about every 45 days because I'll move it around, let the first ones die from squash bugs, take those away, and then the second ones will come in. So ideally, I'll plant them the first week of May, and then I'll usually plant some more the first or second week of July.
Well, I'll tell you what, people could really learn a lot. I've learned a lot here in 10 minutes talking.
And they call me. This is my job, and I love my job, and I need to keep this job, Coleman.
But you've been getting calls, you said.
Oh, yeah. And emails, and it's easiest. People will sometimes call and say, I've got this bug, and it's small, and it's kind of black.
Yeah.
Well, send me a picture. That would help out 1,000 times better. Send me a picture, a good picture of a diseased bug if you're trying to identify a plant in your landscape, send all of those to me in my email.
What about fighting those and maybe dust, poisons, whatever? And we certainly don't want to overdo that.
Right.
Because poisons can get on what we eat.
Well, not all bugs are bad. So I try to tell people, depends on what you're fighting. I hate to say use this one chemical right here because we're going to be killing the good with the bad. So I take usually insect problems on a case-by-case basis because it's hard to, you can't just use one chemical to kill everything because we got to think about the bees pollinating also at the same time. So there's a fine line to ride on those things.
Well, the easiest way is maybe email.
Yep.
I kept saying call, but everybody emails anymore.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I'm not usually in the office all the time. I'm actually in Spring Hill the next couple of days, but I still answer my emails. LHOLMAN, the number 1 at utk.edu, and send me some pictures. That's easiest.
We have 1 minute left here this morning. I've certainly enjoyed your visit, but anything you wanted to mention we haven't gotten to? Anything coming up?
Yeah, Shelly Barnes in our office has the program Maintain, Don't Gain, and you'll see our advertisements on our Facebook page. If you got any questions about that, during the holidays, we have a tendency to gain weight, but most of this program is trying to incentivize keeping the same weight. Also, I've started to handle some of Miss Ruth's calls, so if you've got forage, pasture, livestock questions, those can still come to me right now until they hire a new agent, and that's TBA.
To be announced.
Yep. So,
how do you have any guess on the time there? Fairly soon, or
we don't know exactly. There are a couple of meetings coming up in the next few months to determine the next, I guess the next round to see what's going to happen. But we still have the same service, so use us.
And we have a great tradition here, all the way back to Mr. Jim Ward, who I remember.
Oh, yeah. Ward Ag Center.
Melvin Arnett, yeah. But anyway, Lucas, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks for having me.
All righty, that is part 1 of Coleman & Company. We hope you'll keep it here for more. FM 98.9.
And let's go ahead and see what's happening on the roadways. It's now 7:30, and this update brought to you by our friends at Absolute Kubota and Rental. They have a fully staffed service center and parts department. Most of their minor services can be done the same day, servicing Exmark, Kubota, Land Pride, Red Max, and Billy Goat, 1325 West Main. Now in traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. A minor accident over to the side here on I-65 southbound, just south of Vietnam Vets, where it starts to build in this area this time of the morning, coming down out of Goodlettsville into Madison. Traffic's been holding up for the most part out here as far as wrecks on the major interstate routes. As they wrap up an accident over near Jefferson Street there on I-40 going east, it too also seemed to be very minor. Hey, celebrate autumn at Ober-Gatlinburg during Oktoberfest now through November 1st. Music, food, live entertainment. Check it all out at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Caring for a loved one is as natural as the weather. But just like the weather, one moment it's sunny, and the next, you find yourself in the middle of a storm. So when it came time to take care of my dad, I knew I needed help. A reprieve from the storm, so to speak. That's when I found the Pavilion Senior Living. They have expertise and experience to weather the storms in your loved one's life. And now I can rest easy. Thank you, Pavilion Senior Living. You should visit thepavilionseniorliving.com to find out more.
Lebanon High School football is live this season on WANT and WCOR. Join Tommy Bryan and the crew with all of the action brought to you by Bates Ford, Cedar Recovery of Middle Tennessee, the law firm of Clemens & Clemens, D.T. McCall & Sons, Fakes and Hooker Lumber, Sheriff Robert Bryan, Lebanon Police Chief Mike Justice, and Wilson Bank and Trust. Lebanon High School football Friday night starting with the pregame show at 6:30 on WANT FM 98.9 and WCOR AM 1490.
Hello. I'm Rick Bell. Lebanon needs leadership. Now is the time to lead our city into the future. I will work every day to manage your tax dollars more effectively, protect our established neighborhoods, recruit and create amenities you deserve, and protect what makes Lebanon a special place to live, work, and play. I'm Rick Bell. I would appreciate your vote November 3rd. Early voting starts October 14th and continues through October 29th.
Paid for by Rick Bell for Mayor, Adrian Kelly, Treasurer.
To Kicking off the work week on this Monday, skies will be partly cloudy with highs warming into the lower 80s. On Tuesday, temperatures cool back down into the mid-70s with sunny skies. Wednesday's forecast calls for more sunny weather and highs in the mid-70s. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty. Professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist TJ Scott.
Coleman and Company, welcome to part 2 here on Monday morning. It's good to see my friend, buddy Billy Mullinex again, to talk about Rocky Williams, Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram of Mount Juliet. Billy, good morning.
Good morning, Coleman. It is good to see you back.
Did you miss me?
I did miss you. Judge Tatum done a phenomenal job like he always does.
And he was here both Mondays.
He was here both Mondays. It's always good to see him.
Yeah.
But we certainly miss you when you're not around too.
Well, it's what we say to you. You sometimes it sounds like you've been here more Mondays than I have. And it might be true.
Well, I have, Coleman, but that's okay. I'm not here the other 4 days of the week.
Well, Rocky Williams, Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, Mount Juliet's located at 600 Pleasant Grove Road. We kind of laugh about that sometimes. It's on the north side of the interstate. It's you don't have to fight the South Mount Juliet Road traffic.
A little bit easier to get to as a general rule and get out of.
Yeah, and Billy Mullinex, of course, is a general manager, has been were you general manager from the beginning, really?
No, Coleman. I started in sales when I started in the business 2012 and sold for a little over a year.
Were you doing no haggle then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And I haven't got to that yet this morning. No haggle pricing. Everybody pays the same great low price.
That's right, Coleman, where we price our cars and not our customers.
Yeah, right. But you started there and kind of worked your way up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rocky saw the potential there. And
well,
I think y'all have become great friends, too.
Yeah, he saw something. We are great friends. He's a wonderful person. And it's been good for both of us, hopefully. Been good for me. I hope it's been good for him.
Yeah, I'll bet it has. But I tell you what, you did come up with really a unique idea, and you're the first I ever heard to talk about no haggle pricing and the way that you do it, and being guaranteed that what you pay for a vehicle at Rocky Williams is the same price anybody else would pay. Just because you're friends or because you have status in the community doesn't get you in the door any better than anybody else.
That's exactly right, Coleman. And there's so many that advertise one price. I was talking with one of our people at the dealership the other day that has worked several other places. And one of those had attempted to do one price. This is a few years ago, and it just could not allow the customers to walk away. You know, if the vehicle was making money, he'd say, "Well, let's figure this out. What we need to do." And so the one price lasted just a very short period of time, and then because it is a hard way to do business. Yeah. It really is when you don't have the ability to negotiate that other people do. So you have to put a great price out there right from the very beginning, and a price that other people really don't want to sell the vehicle for, and if they do, it's just no fun for them. So you have to be very aggressive. You don't make the money per vehicle that a negotiating dealership will make. So it's difficult, but it's a fair, honest way for people to buy a vehicle and a lot less stress.
Well, most people start by going to RockyWilliams.com.
Might even see your neighbor there, Coleman.
Yes, sir. RockyWilliams.com. The entire inventory is there. You update it, I guess, almost on a daily basis.
It's actually multiple times a day.
You sell one, you trade for one,
it gets on there pretty quick now. Technology, is just almost instant.
Yeah. Well, at RockyWilliams.com for your new inventory and the pre-owned, and you've got you do a lot of both. I guess you have to.
We have to sell a lot of vehicles, Coleman, to make this thing work, and so we do. We've got a great selection of pre-owned, a great selection of new, and something to fit in everybody's budget.
They're open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and we're right now here just about in the middle of October. anytime's a good time, but today would be a great day.
Be a great day to come out. I think the rain is maybe going to hold off, and so it'd be a good day to come out and take a look at what we've got.
And even explore that aquarium that Billy is so
That's right.
thankful for and loves to take care of. And
Absolutely.
a conversation piece, if nothing else.
Well, it is a conversation piece. I had several conversations over the weekend with people that were just really amazed at it. But it's beautiful.
All right, they price their cars, not their customers. At Rocky Williams and Billy Mullinax, thanks for being with us, and see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
All right. Rocky Williams Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram off Mount Juliet. We're 22 before the hour, and Lebanon Mayor Bernie Ash is with us this morning. And Mayor Ash is paying for this time. This is paid for by Bernie Ash for mayor. And good morning and welcome again.
Good morning, Coleman. It's always good to be here.
Glad to see you, of course. And since you're paying for the time, you can say what you want. You haven't given me any questions to ask you.
Okay.
But, of course, you're candidate for mayor. You've been mayor for almost 4 years now. And
That's right.
asking people to reelect you. And really, I think we're having quite a spirited campaign here. You have 3 people who also want to be mayor.
We do.
You've got to talk people into, hey, I've done a good job, and I'm going to keep doing a good job, and I'll do better than they can.
And that's basically my campaign. I would like to talk a little bit about experience and leadership. I have been elected to public office 6 times. I've served 22 years as an elected official in Lebanon. When I was elected to the county commission in 1994, I was also elected by the commission to serve on the finance and the budget committee, and I also served as chairman of emergency management. Also served on the minutes committee, the cable TV, education, and several other committees during my 16 years on the county commission. So I have that experience. Also, get away from politics just a minute. I started creative photography in 1988 here in Lebanon. I actually started it back before then, but ran a few times and moved on, did something else, and finally came back in 1988. Opened creative photography on the square and stayed there for 21 years. So I have experience running a business, trying to make a dollar and trying to beat a payroll. I understand what all those things are about, but it does require leadership to do that. In 19, well, I forget the date now, but anyway, I ran for city council. Served for 2 years on it when I decided to run for mayor in 2016, was elected and have served the last 4 years. And during my time on the as mayor, a lot has happened, especially like we talk about leadership. I am the only one of the candidates who has had mayoral leadership during a time of crisis in Lebanon. Of course, in March, we know that the tornado hit very early in the morning, about 1:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning. I got up, made sure that my wife was okay, made sure that the house was secure, and headed toward the command post at the police station. Got there about 2 o'clock in the morning and stayed there till up in the night. When I arrived at the command center, the police department, the fire department, they were already busy taking calls, opening roads, directing traffic. The fire department was on its way to Eastgate to put out fires and save lives. And on top of that, Jeff Baines with the city engineering, he was there at the command center directing his people to remove debris from the roads, get those open, get roadways going, and also to clear debris from people's houses and yards. Before the day was over, before the week was over, we had about 4,000 volunteers who came to Lebanon, with some with chainsaws, some with just themselves to work, And they came from all over the United States. It was an amazing thing to see. But in the midst of all that was directed by Jeff Baines and the City of Lebanon Public Works. We removed debris from people's yards at I think, a historic rate. We got things cleaned up and back to normal as quickly as we could. The tornado hit our cemetery and did a lot of damage. It uprooted like 40 trees and turned over a lot of markers and stuff. And we had some complaints because we weren't getting the cemetery back in order as quickly as some people thought we should. The major problem there was, first, we had to take care of the living and the damage that we already had. On top of that, FEMA and the Historic Commission, Tennessee Historic Commission, limited how quickly we could take care of the cemetery because of the historic nature of it, because of the damage. In order to get FEMA money to reimburse us, we had to follow their guidelines, and the FEMA guidelines are very difficult to follow, but we did.
And that money, no doubt, was important to you.
It was very important.
It's worth the wait, in other words.
Absolutely. The damage, just the tree damage at the cemetery was like $180,000. And one of the things that I did immediately the day after the tornado hit was to declare a state of emergency for Lebanon. That enabled us to apply for FEMA money. So that was a very important thing that we had to do. But I am very proud of the city of Lebanon. Every department joined in and helped to get us back to normal. So
and then COVID.
Then COVID. So, and we have had a lot of problems with COVID.
Your leadership has been under fire.
It has been under,
for no doubt.
It has been under fire, but I stand by what we've done over the last 4 years. My leadership style is not, I guess, not aggressive. We have 10 department heads. These are people who know what they're doing. It's not that I just take their word for it and rely on everything they do, but I try to provide a vision and instruction as to what I would like to see happen in Lebanon and the direction I want Lebanon to go to these department heads. But I'm not going to go to the engineering and try to tell them how to do their engineering work, or to the police or fire department and tell them how to do their jobs. I don't micromanage these departments. However, I watch them, and I do provide guidance of the things that I want to see done. So I've taken some hits over that, but nevertheless, that's the way I have led all my life, and will continue to do that.
You're as far as leadership style, you plan to continue doing that for another 4 years of your life.
I absolutely do. I don't see any reason to change.
It's time for a break, unless we're through with that. Okay,
we are.
All right, Bernie Ash here, Mayor of Lebanon, asking for re-election. He's paying for the time this morning, and we'll take a break and talk more here on Coleman and Company, FM 98.9.
And it's 7:46. Let's see what's happening on the roadways. Thanks, Absolute Kubota and Rental, fully staffed service center and parts department. Most of their minor services can be done the same day. Servicing Exmark, Kubota, Land Pride, Red Max, and Billy Goat, 1325 West Main. Now at traffic, here's Chuck.
Good morning. Traffic's been in pretty good shape for the most part here until we had this crash here on 65 southbound, just south of Vietnam Vets. It's not the worst wreck we've ever seen, but it's just in a bad spot with so much traffic volume trying to get down through here as it is this time of the morning on 65 southbound. Again, trying to get south of Vietnam Vets. A wreck being moved now 40 east at Jefferson Street. Celebrate autumn at Obergattelberg during Oktoberfest now through November 1st. Check it out, obergattelberg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Do you know why Rocky Williams Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Mount Juliet sells so many cars, trucks, SUVs, and muscle cars? Well, it all starts with a simple idea. Why not give everyone a hassle-free shopping experience for their new or used vehicle with no haggling, no negotiating, and no runaround? Every vehicle on the Rocky Williams lot is marked down incredibly low with the price posted on the window. You're treated with fairness and respect every time. No pressure, just a friendly, warm, inviting staff dedicated to finding the exact vehicle you need. So Rocky Williams Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram has become the original no-haggle, one-price dealer. Go online to RockyWilliams.com to see the incredible deals yourself. Every car and truck is listed with a no-haggle low price. This is for real, and you're going to love it. People drive for miles to get some of the lowest prices in America on their new or used cars or trucks. Go to RockyWilliams.com or come on over to our brand new spacious dealership next to Walmart in Mount Juliet.
The Phantom Fiddler presents the 10th annual Ghost in the Grove, October 16th and 17th. Tours are 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. every 15 minutes. Tickets on sale now. Call 615-547-6111. $10 adults, $5 ages 6 to 16. Meet Tennessee Ghostbusters, Scuffle Moths, the Phantom Fiddler, and the Inglewood Old Time String Band. It's at Fiddler's Grove at the James E. Ward Ag Center.
The Titans and Buffalo Bills clash has been rescheduled this Tuesday night at Nissan Stadium. The award-winning Titans countdown happens at 5. Then Coach Dave McGinnis and the voice of the Titans, Mike Keith, bring you Titans and Bills action with a kickoff set for 6. Titans and Bills on a rare Tuesday night.
Brought to you by Steve Moore Plumbing and the Jewelers.
LHS, Cumberland University, and the Tennessee Titans. The winning teams are on WANT 98.9.
Over the company, thanks for joining us here on this Monday morning. We have Bernie Ashe here asking for a re-election, and as I said, paying for time. And what else do you want to tell people this morning?
Well, let's talk about what has happened since I was elected in 2016.
All right.
One of the things that I campaigned on and has been a problem is the terrific growth that we've had. Housing and apartment buildings, all of these things were and still are just booming and blowing and going, as they say. One of the first things I did was to create impact fees on single family and apartment houses. Now, on apartments, the impact fee is $1,500 per unit. So, and that I did that in order to slow down apartments, and also to develop some money to get some money from the developers to take care of the impact that apartments have on our community. And it has worked. It did slow down apartments for a while. I think they're coming back in a different form now. We're getting a lot of townhouses and duplexes, that kind of thing. But they are also paying the apartment impact fee. So we're trying to, as I say, slow that down a bit and also create some money. We did an additional, the council and myself did an additional impact fee on Carver Lane, and the developers actually liked it. We added an extra $600 per unit on apartments on Carver Lane because the impact is going to be very, very great there. We're going to have to widen the road down at the front. We'll have to add a traffic signal and widen that entrance to Carver Lane. So we are raising some additional money that a lot of that will be paid for by the developers out there. So I'm sure we will continue that in other areas also.
We just said you're talking about pay as you go. One of the things I know there's been some talk about, we've got in the city, I think most people would appreciate the fact that we've got a nice emergency fund.
Yes,
in the neighborhood
yes.
of maybe $20 million.
It's around $20 million.
And then there's some that say, well, we ought to dip into that for some things, and you have said no, and you've had a reason for that.
I have had a reason, and we have used it for some things. But my feeling and what I have learned through being budget chairman on the county was, you don't use non-recurring funds that are not coming back, such as your savings, on recurring items such as payroll and maintenance and things like that, things you're going to need for all the time. But we'll jump into the Mitchell Manor just a minute. When the Mitchell Manor became available for us, I instructed our finance director to go into the savings to pay for that so that we do not have debt on that. The $20 million is an asset to the community, and what we actually did was trade one asset for another asset that's what I believe is actually worth more than $1 million. So we still have the asset, just in a different form, but we do not have any debt on the Mitchell House at all.
But that was not a recurring thing. That was just an opportunity that you saw fit. City saw fit to purchase that, and that's different than if you were doing something every year after year.
That's correct, and I think it was a legitimate reason to use this savings money. Talk about the Mitchell House just a minute. We have had a overcrowding problem going back several years, and we hadn't up to that time done anything to fix it. We were looking at options. One option was to build a new building behind City Hall. Another option that we were seriously considering was to buy the bank building on the square. It was offered for $1.8 million, and it was going to take another $1 million to refurbish it. We were seriously considering that. That was high enough, but it was not. It was still doable. Before we did that, the owners of the Mitchell House came to see me and wanted to know if we wanted to purchase the Mitchell House. My first observation was, I don't think so. I don't believe we can afford it. He said, well, it can be bought for around $1 million. I said, well, we need to talk about it then. So I sent our investigators down there to check it out, to see if it was sound. They came back and said the building was in sound condition, would require very little money to bring it up to our standards. We also sent our IT guys down there to make sure that the electronics capability of the Mitchell House was going to be all right. And we also sent Mike Manis, who was the architect who oversaw the 1997 Cracker Barrel renovation. Cracker Barrel put $2 million into that building in 1997. The building was sound. Needed some cosmetic work. I think we replaced one column outside. We painted the outside, painted the inside, redid the floors. When we purchased it, the purchase price was $1,150,000. That's what we bought it for. The council put in another $250,000, which is really not a lot to work on a building of that size. It's about 12,000 square feet. So we managed that, got it taken care of, have moved HR, legal, economic development, and the administration into the Mitchell House, about 14 offices. So it is being used. We have several people in there already, and it was a wise investment. Not only did it take care of our overcrowding needs, we saved a historic building in Lebanon, and we remained on the campus where City Hall is. So we're still all together. We have a great building to work out of, and I make no apologies for that purchase.
All right. What does something else maybe you want to tell the folks this morning?
Okay. One thing I want to talk about, and this is conflicts of interest. When I first when I took office, one of the first things I had to do was veto a $5 million loan that was approved to build a $5 million park, which was going to be put on Rick Bell investment property in Lebanon. This idea of spending $5 million for one park, I thought was too much. Well, back up just a minute. My veto was overridden at the next council meeting, so they ended up borrowing the money. But as they kept planning this super park, the costs rose to about $6 million, and nobody wanted to bite that off, so it was eventually defeated. And but I took the money. I was not against parks, and I'm not against parks on the west side. What I thought was more fair and better to do was to build smaller neighborhood parks. We have completed one park on South Hartman Drive, spent $400,000 on that park. We have another park under construction on Cairo Bend Road, where there's a lot of development there. We had donated 16 acres of land there, so we're going to spend $1 million on that park. We'll also use some of that money to purchase property on 231 South. For eventually, we will build a sports complex. Hopefully, we'll bring in travel ball and help pay for that. But we'll also get our soccer teams off of the airport property in a safer place.
All right, we've got about 3 minutes left here.
Okay. We can talk about some of the other things that we did. Well, let me back up just a second. There's two things that I did to help solve some of the growth problems. Traffic, I'm sure you've all known, traffic is a big problem in Lebanon right now, and will continue to be a problem for some time. However, I hired a traffic engineer. We can't widen the roads anymore in the city limits. There's just not enough room. But I hired a traffic engineer from Metro Nashville, Kristen Rice, doing a fantastic job. She readjusted all of the traffic signals where they work better. But we're also installing, I'm trying to say laser, but that's not right, fiber optic cable throughout so that we will have a more accurate clock on these timing devices. She has also readjusted some of the roadways. We are building right turn, left turn lanes. We're maximizing what we have by using Miss Rice. Now, I also hired a grant writer, Anthony Tate. I can't say too much about Anthony. Anthony has brought in over $2 million in the first 18 months that he's been working for us. I can promise you he does not make that kind of money. So, but he's paid for himself over and over several times. One of his grants was $750,000 for additional sidewalks to go to the money that we already had. So we are building sidewalks. We are planning sidewalks. We're taking care, a lot of that is being paid for through grant money. But Anthony is doing a great job. And I also told Anthony, I said, I want you to, you're obviously working for the city, and I want you to spend your time working for the city, but any extra time you have to help private charities in Lebanon, help them write their grants so that they can get more grants too.
Well, you obviously have done a lot here in 4 years. There's some things you want to continue.
Yes.
We got 30 seconds here to wrap it up, but you
Okay.
are wanting to continue what you've started, I think, complete some things.
Okay, I do. In the last 4 years, we've added 5 million square feet of industrial space. That includes rooms to go warehouse, Napa warehouse, Siva Logistics, and many, many others. And we will continue to work with that through the JECDB. I also hired a consulting firm, and we did that in the first year, to help our economic director to gain more data and to use their resources to bring in more retail businesses. And some of the businesses that have come in through that are Planet Hollywood, Bojangles, Cookout, and several other things that are working. So we are doing a lot. A lot is happening. We've also a major grocery chain will be built on Highway 109, and it will bring in about 5 other retail businesses with it. So things are moving in Lebanon. I hope that you would elect Bernie Ash so that we can continue to move forward.
Well, Bernie Ash, thanks for being with us this morning. Bernie Ash for mayor, paying for the time, and we appreciate you being with us. We hope you'll join us tomorrow for Coleman and Company, and until then, I wish you a magnificent day.